Hi everyone, let's start this series of improvising over a major 2-5-1 with pentatonic scales. The 2-5-1 being, as you probably heard before, the most common chord progression in jazz, and not only in jazz, and the pentatonic scale being most probably one of the most common scales since ever. So it's only fit that we bring both things together. We will do it one step at a time, and today I'm bringing you the first two steps, each one introducing a little something to learn and control. I would advise you to record your practice sessions. I always have some sort of webcam app running, a quick setup for my practice sessions. And so, when improvising over this 2-5-1, do your thing and then go back and listen to what you did. And take note of the things that you liked and the things you didn't like. And when any of those happen, go and see what you're doing. What note were you playing and where, especially where were you playing it? So you can have your own understanding of your own taste of what sounds good and what doesn't sound, and where, what and where. Since we are playing over a major 2-5-1 in C, the most obvious choice would be to bring the major from the root or major from the key. The meaning of this being the root key is C, so I will be playing the C major pentatonic. The C major pentatonic has the following notes: C, D, E, G, and A. This is a very simple sound, these 5 notes, but it doesn't necessarily have to sound basic. It's all in the way you play them. Now, in C major, you have the following chords: D minor 7, G7, C major 7. And each of these chords have their own set of guide tones. In D minor 7, you have F and C. In G7, you have F and B. And in C major 7, you have E and B. Here's the 2-5-1 using only guide tones. The 3rd and the 7th of D, the 7th and the 3rd of G, and the 3rd and the 7th of C. Now, the C major pentatonic doesn't cover all of these guide tones. Not even close. For instance, over D minor 7, you have the C, and you don't have the F. Over G7, you have neither of the guide tones. You don't have the F, and you don't have the B. And over C major 7, you have the E, but not the B. Still it works, and still it can sound good. Here's a few examples. My advice is that you practice a few choruses over each of the C major pentatonic shapes. Here's my backing track: 2, the 5, and the 1, and 1 again. So here's I'm playing over shape 1. Now shape 2. Shape 3. Shape 5. this would be step one, improvising over the 251 using the major from the root. Step two will be to use the major from the fifth. Let me explain what this is. If you follow the circle of fifths, not the fourths, but the fifths, next to C comes G. C major, G major. They share all the same notes but one. C major has an F natural and G major has an F sharp. In terms of pentatonic scales, they also have the exact same notes but one. In C, you have C, D, E, G, A, and in G, you have G, A, B, D, E. What happens is that the C in C major becomes B in G major. That's the only thing that happens. In terms of guide tones, the result is over D minor 7, you now don't have any of the guide tones. You lost the C. But over G7, you gain the B. You now have one of the guide tones. And over C major, you now have both guide tones. You have the E and the B. Now let me tell you about a very relevant sequence of numbers, and one that you probably heard before. You must be aware, or some of you will for sure be aware, of the 1-6-2-5 chord progression, or the 3-6-2-5 chord progression, where the 1 is replaced by the 3. For the purpose of this lesson, we will consider the 1-3-6-2-5 sequence. And what this means is that I'm playing C major here, and I don't want to play G major here. I want to play it in this region too. So G major shape 1, G major shape 2, and G major shape 3. So if I'm in this area, I will have shape 1 from C major, that becomes shape 3 of G major if I want to add the 7th. Here, this is shape 2 of C over the D. That will become shape 5 of G major, 2 to 5. Here I have 3 of C, and that will become shape 6 of G, 3, 6. And here I have shape 5 of C major and shape 1 of G major, 5 to 1. And here I have shape 6 of C major and shape 2 of G major. So 6, 2, 1, 3, 6, 2, 5. 1 becomes 3, 2 becomes 5, sorry, 3 becomes 6, shape 5 becomes 1, and shape 6 becomes 2. Believe me that it works a lot better for me visually to have these two shapes in my head than to have the whole 7-note 2-octave C major scale. And what it does is that allows you to focus and to find where the important notes are. So, take the high E string. Here you have C major. Here you have G major. The C became B. Here is the same on both shapes. Here too. But here you have C major, and you have G major. The C becomes B. The root becomes the major 7. Here, same on both shapes. And here, C major, G major, the C becomes B again. So C becomes B, C becomes B, C becomes B. And this is what is important at this point in time to get control of the place of the major 7 on each shape and the sound of it. So put your backing track to play and go over each location using both pentatonic scales and listening when the root becomes the major 7. Shape 2. Shape 3. That becomes shape 6. Here. Shape 5 becomes shape 1. Shape 6, C major. Becomes shape 2. So this was it, guys. The first 2 steps of improvising over a major 2-5-1 using pentatonic scales. Step 1 being using the major pentatonic scale from the key of the chord progression. It was C in our case. And the second step is to use the major pentatonic from the fifth. The fifth of C is G. We use the G major pentatonic. Each pentatonic scale has its 5 notes, but there's only one difference between them, which is the C becomes B in G major. And they also have their own impact on the guide tones of the underlying chords of the chord progression. You don't need to use one or the other. You can and you should use both pentatonic scales together, but knowing them separately will help you understand where the fundamental changes are, and which is, in our case, this all comes down to the sound of the major 7. That's all for now. See you next time.